President Donald Trump is actually being somewhat honest about the state of the economy in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. So now we have, look, we've got over 40 million or nearly 40 million people that are unemployed now. And so he talked to Fox and Friends about this. And he said, quote, on the unemployment numbers, it's fully expected. There's no surprise. Now, this is after the Labor Department announced the U.S. has lost, just in April, 20 million jobs. The unemployment rate is now about 14.7%. That's worse than we had in the Great Depression. And look, if you're really to count all the people who have, who are unemployed but are unable to get those unemployment benefits through those, shoddy systems in many of these states, the number could easily pass 20%. So he's actually right about this, though, because it's a pandemic. What do you expect when there are many states that, enact social distancing measures and close down all non-essential businesses? You're going to have massive layoffs. You're going to have unemployment. It is absolutely unavoidable. And shutting it down, by the way, that was very smart policy because you don't want to overwhelm the healthcare system by spreading the disease. So it's kind of unfair to put all the job losses blame on Donald Trump when really we want people to not go out and work right now. What the government should be doing more of, and where you can definitely fault Trump on, is not doing enough to help the American workers stay home. So there's that, right? So now he followed this up by saying, somebody said, oh, look at this. Well, even the Democrats aren't blaming me for that. But what I can do is I'll bring it back, meaning of, jobs, right? Now, look, there's plenty of blame that you could put on Donald Trump, as I mentioned, right? For example, his incredibly disastrous response to this. You can also blame Republicans and corporate Democrats for using this crisis to shift trillions of dollars to the corporations and the wealthiest Americans. You can also certainly blame Republicans for not doing enough for regular working people to help them, weather this crisis, these closures, these unavoidable layoffs, these job losses, right? Now, that one-time means-tested $1,200 check, which still some people have not gotten, well, that was not enough. Of course it wasn't enough. We said it wasn't enough. Now, the White House says, well, we'll be open to another round of direct checks because we actually originally were calling for 2 rounds, right? But we decided, we only had enough bipartisan support for 1 round of these checks, right? Well, now the Republicans in Congress are saying, yeah, but, you think we're going to do another round of stimulus? No, our buddies already got everything. We already got everything that we wanted. Massive corporate bailouts. Oh, now you want to actually help regular people. Oh, no, we can't do that. Look at the deficit. Look at the $3 trillion we already put up. We can't spare another $250 billion to send 1 round of stimulus to the regular people. No, we already spent enough. Yeah, but the majority of that money went to the rich. It already went to the corporations. When it comes time to help the regular people, where the Republicans' priorities are. They have no interest in helping regular people. Their solution, of course, and this is backed up by the White House. Donald Trump has been urging this for quite some time. Republican governors, and you also have Republican politicians and right-wing figures and pundits all saying, no, the real solution here is to open up the economy. We've got to reopen the economy as quickly as possible, despite it not being safe to do so. That's the problem here. Everywhere in the country, you have cases of COVID-19 that are continuing to rise. I mean, and part of that is because testing becomes more available, right? We are doing more testing, despite the administration not wanting to do more testing and lying about doing the testing. In fact, he's like, oh, we don't need any more testing. That's Trump, right? He says, well, we don't need any more testing. We're doing enough. Despite the fact that Trump gets tested every single day. He's against mass testing. Why? Because it makes him look bad. if you have a lot of people that get tested, and as we expect, a lot of people will come down with COVID-19 right now, we have over 1 million cases in the United States. The true number is probably a lot higher. I can't tell you how much higher with any sort of accuracies, but I'm sure there are more cases. People who are asymptomatic, even though we have been doing social distancing. But you have to look in the states that are relaxing their social distancing requirements. Places like Florida that have a lot of people, a lot of people to go back to the beaches. Places like South Carolina have relaxed. Georgia, all these places that have relaxed their rules, those numbers are going to be much higher than anywhere else. So we have to do more testing. And so, look, along with more testing and along with more cases, you're also going to have more deaths. Right now, we're somewhere around 1,500 deaths a day. By June 1st, experts say it could double, especially as these requirements are being loosened in a lot of these states to 3,000 a day. Like I said, there's plenty of blame to go around. But I don't specifically blame Donald Trump as a direct result of the unemployment numbers, right? Because this is something that's beyond any president's control of, hey, we got to close down the economy. No, closing down the economy is the right thing to do. And we should close it down and should have strict requirements, right? All places, every state should be doing social distancing. If we all got on the same page, then we would actually get over this quicker. When you look at some of the countries in Europe that have done a better job at containment, you look at Germany. Germany was able to flatten the curve and do aggressive testing, and now they are slowly reopening. New Zealand, they were able to, quote unquote, eradicate this disease, and they're still doing social distancing measures, but are also slowly opening up. It's because they took the right actions at the right time. And I understand that there's a difference, of course, in population density when it comes to, New Zealand, which is a smaller population, Germany, which also has a smaller population, the United States. But nonetheless, you could still adapt some of the things that we've actually done, or they've actually done, into America instead of what we've done. Again, you look at a lot of these other countries, they have had generous income support for their populations to be able to weather this. We have not in America, which has fueled a lot of anxiety and a lot of people pushing to get back to work. Now, that said, this has nothing to do with the protesters. Protesters are people that are generally business owners or massive conservatives that want other people to get back to work for them. So understand the difference, right? In the protests versus people who legitimately need to get back to work, or feel like they're desperate. They don't have enough money. That $1,200 check did not, stretch enough. They can't get unemployment benefits, all that stuff. Even then, those people are still looking at this, at these lockdown orders, these stay-at-home orders, and saying, I still agree with them, even though I'm hurting very much so. So, nonetheless, we have Republicans pushing against this, pushing to reopen this country because they don't want to help their fellow man. And it's better for them. It's better for their donors, better for their stock portfolios. But here's the thing, right? The people, and this is where Trump is wrong, right? Because he said this, quote, those jobs will all be back. And they'll be back very soon. And next year, we're going to have a phenomenal year. People are ready to go. We've got to get it open safely. People are ready to go. The jobs are not going to come back that soon. No, we're going to be in this global depression for at least a few years. That's what I see. Things just don't open right up. It's not like a light switch. You can turn it right back on. So I don't know where he's getting this. You could call it naive optimism. And maybe that's the right way to do it because he doesn't know what he's talking about. But at the same time, You can also call it lies, right? But look, at the same time here, right? He's also saying people are ready to go. The people are actually not ready to go. According to a Pew Research poll, 68% of Americans are concerned about lifting the stay-at-home orders too quickly. This is mostly falling on partisan lines, by the way. According to another poll from Democracy Fund UCLA, 71% of people surveyed said they are worried that the restrictions are being lifted too quickly. 29% say that restrictions aren't being lifted quickly enough. And again, this goes geographically, and this goes by partisanship, right? So you have more conservative Republicans in states that already don't have stay-at-home orders that are saying, let's go, let's lift it, right? But you have conservative Republicans in places that do have the restrictions. More of them are saying, no, we should be careful about this. But in both places, you have liberal Democrats that are like, no, we're lifting this too fast. We need to make sure to keep these in place until the medical experts say it's okay. And so that's a large majority of Democrats that say that. So now, why are these Republicans saying this? Well, it's because Donald Trump will go out on camera and say, we've beaten the virus. We've beaten the virus. It will disappear. It'll be gone. One day, it'll just go poof, and it'll be gone. And then we'll get back to work. We have to get back to work. Look, it's Trump's, again, dangerous naivete, dangerous stupidity, and a mix of conservatives, Republicans, social Darwinism. And that's what it is, where, profit, where greed is more important than humanity, than human lives, right? That's the argument that's being made. And it's a gross one. So while Trump, of course, isn't to blame for all the job losses, he certainly does deserve the blame from a lot of the deaths so far, and the ones to come as the country reopens before it's ready. And, of course, not only that, but in the inevitable prolonging of this entire economic crisis, because he refused to do the things that he should have done first. Close down the country for a significant amount of time until we've all flattened that curve, and then slowly reopen once we have mass testing. He hasn't done any of that, and that's why we have completely failed, or he has failed in this test of leadership. All right. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll come back. I'm going to thank some patrons and some channel members. We got more stories, so stay right here around the nation. Be back. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.